The darkness pressed against the viewport of the deep-sea submersible as Dr. Maya Patel guided it through the crushing depths of the Mariana Trench. At nearly 11,000 meters below the surface, the Nautilus's reinforced hull groaned under immense pressure. Maya ignored the sounds, focused instead on the unusual energy readings that had drawn her research team to this unexplored section of the ocean floor. Energy signature is getting stronger, her research partner Thomas Walsh reported from the sensor station. Whatever it is, it's definitely not geological or biological. At least, not any biology we've ever encountered. Maya nodded, adjusting their trajectory to follow the signal. After 15 years studying deep-sea phenomena, she thought she'd seen everything the ocean's depths could offer. But these readings defied all known patterns. The Nautilus's powerful lights illuminated a landscape of twisted rock formations and strange, ghostly white organisms that had evolved to survive in this lightless world. But as they rounded a massive underwater mountain, something else caught Maya's eye, a soft, pulsing blue glow emanating from a crevice in the rock face. "Are you seeing this?" she breathed, maneuvering closer. The glow seemed to respond to their presence, brightening and dimming in an almost rhythmic pattern. "Bioluminescence," Thomas suggested, but his voice held doubt. They'd seen plenty of glowing creatures in the deep, but nothing quite like this. "No," Maya said, checking their instruments. "The energy signature is coming directly from that light source. And these patterns, they're too regular, too structured to be natural." As they watched, the glow began to coalesce, forming into a crystalline structure that seemed to float free from the rock. It was roughly the size of a basketball, its surface faceted like a diamond but flowing like liquid metal. "Maya," Thomas's voice held a warning note, "our instruments are going crazy. Whatever that thing is, it's generating more energy than should be possible at these depths." But Maya couldn't look away. The crystal's surface had begun to ripple, and within its depths, she could swear she saw something moving, patterns that reminded her of neural networks, firing in complex sequences. "It's alive," she whispered, reaching for the submersible's external sampling arm. "And I think it's trying to communicate." "Maya, wait." Thomas called out, but she had already activated the mechanism. The moment the sampling arm touched the crystal, everything changed. The blue glow exploded outward, enveloping the Nautilus in brilliant light. Maya felt a strange tingling sensation throughout her body, and then, impossibly, she heard a voice in her mind. "Contact achieved. Compatibility detected. Beginning integration." "What integration?" Maya gasped, but even as the words left her mouth, she felt it, a warm sensation spreading from her chest outward, as if something was flowing into her very cells. The crystal structure began to dissolve, its liquid-like substance flowing through the submersible's metal hull as if it wasn't there. Maya watched in fascination and terror as it moved toward her, its surface now rippling with patterns that looked almost like circuit boards made of light. "Maya!" Thomas shouted, reaching for her, but she couldn't move. The crystal substance touched her hand, and instead of being cold as she expected, it was warm, alive. It began to merge with her skin, sending waves of sensation through her body. "Do not fear," the voice in her mind spoke again, clearer now. "I have waited millennia for a compatible host. We will achieve something extraordinary together." Maya wanted to respond, to ask any of the 1,000 questions racing through her mind, but the sensation of the merger was overwhelming. She could feel her consciousness expanding, touching something vast and alien yet somehow familiar. "Thomas," she managed to say, her voice shaking, "are you seeing this?" But when she turned to look at her research partner, she realized she was seeing him differently, not just with her eyes, but with new senses she couldn't even begin to describe. She could see the electrical impulses in his brain, the flow of blood through his veins, the very energy of his cells. "Your species has such potential," the voice commented, sounding pleased. "Your neural plasticity is remarkable. The integration is proceeding better than expected." What are you?" Maya asked, watching as the last of the crystal substance disappeared beneath her skin, leaving behind a faint, iridescent sheen that seemed to pulse in time with her heartbeat. I am Nexus, the voice replied. I am a sentinel, created by those you might call the predecessors. We were left throughout the cosmos to find species worthy of advancement. And you, Maya Patel, have proven yourself compatible. Before Maya could process this, the Nautilus's emergency alarms began blaring. Multiple vessels were descending from above, their energy signatures unlike anything in their database. They have detected our merger, Nexus said urgently. The Harvesters. They seek to claim our combined potential for themselves. We must act quickly. Maya felt new knowledge flooding her mind, ancient histories, advanced technologies, and abilities she never dreamed possible. But most importantly, she understood what she needed to do. Thomas, she said, turning to her stunned colleague, I need you to trust me. Things are about to get very complicated. As if in response to her words, her skin began to glow with the same blue light as the crystal, and she felt power building within her. The Nautilus's systems responded to her thoughts, connecting with her newfound abilities in ways that should have been impossible. They were about to discover exactly what it meant to be worthy of advancement, and Maya had a feeling the universe would never be the same. The surface of the Pacific Ocean churned as the Nautilus breached like a metallic whale, water cascading off its hull. Inside, Maya gripped the controls, her skin still shimmering with an otherworldly iridescence. Through their shared consciousness, Nexus guided her movements with impossible precision. Maya, Thomas said carefully, watching as patches of her skin rippled with flowing patterns of light, we need to talk about what just happened down there. The Harvesters are still following us, she replied, checking the submersible sensors with both her eyes and her new awareness. We need to get to shore before. They are not merely following, Nexus interrupted in her mind. They are hunting. Your military vessels approach as well. They detected the energy surge from our merger. Maya felt Nexus's memories surface in her mind, images of other worlds, other civilizations that had faced the Harvesters. The crystalline being's anxiety pulsed through their bond, coloring her own emotions. Your heart rate has increased by 47%, Nexus observed. This causes me concern. Are you experiencing distress? Maya almost laughed at the formal tone. I'm sharing my body and mind with an ancient alien crystal being while being chased by hostile forces. Distress seems reasonable. She felt Nexus processing this, analyzing her emotional response with fascinating thoroughness. Your species uses humor as a coping mechanism. Interesting. The predecessors never. A massive impact rocked the Nautilus, cutting off Nexus's observation. Maya's enhanced senses detected the approaching threat before it appeared on their instruments, a sleek, dark shape moving through the water with unnatural speed. Harvester vessel, she said, the knowledge coming from Nexus's memories. Thomas, strap in. This is going to get rough. As if in response to her words, Maya's body began to change. The iridescent sheen spread, forming patterns that resembled circuit boards made of light beneath her skin. She felt Nexus's consciousness merging more deeply with her own, their separate thoughts becoming harder to distinguish. Your body is adapting faster than anticipated, Nexus noted with something like pride. The neural integration is proceeding at remarkable speed. Is that good or bad? Maya asked, guiding the Nautilus into a series of evasive maneuvers that should have been impossible for a deep-sea research vessel. Unprecedented, Nexus replied. Most species require extensive modification before achieving this level of synchronization. But you. Another impact cut off their internal dialogue. The Harvester vessel was trying to force them back underwater, where they'd be more vulnerable. Maya, Thomas called out, his voice tight with tension, 3 military helicopters approaching from the east. And something's happening to the hull. He was right. Where Maya's hands touched the controls, the metal was changing, responding to the combination of her human DNA and Nexus's crystalline structure. The entire submersible was beginning to transform. The vehicle is integrating with our bond, Nexus explained, fascination coloring their shared thoughts. Your technological understanding is allowing me to modify its structure in ways I never. Maya gasped as new sensations flooded her awareness. She could feel the Nautilus as if it were an extension of her own body, every system connecting directly to her enhanced consciousness. This is incredible, she breathed, watching as crystalline structures began growing across the hull, forming new configurations that defied human engineering. Yes, Nexus agreed, their shared excitement creating feedback loops of heightened awareness. Your species has such potential for adaptation. The predecessors theorized that humans might be compatible, but this level of synthesis. The harvester vessel slammed into them again, but this time the crystalline reinforcements absorbed the impact. Maya felt it like a bruise across her enhanced awareness. They're trying to disable us without destroying us, she realized, the knowledge coming from both Nexus's memories and her own tactical analysis. They want to capture us intact. Yes, Nexus confirmed grimly. They seek to understand our bond, to replicate it for their own purposes. But a true symbiosis cannot be forced. It requires trust, Maya finished, understanding flowing between them. A willing partnership. She felt Nexus's approval, warm and bright in their shared consciousness. But there was something else there too, a growing concern that the crystalline being was trying to hide from her. What aren't you telling me? Maya asked, even as she guided their transforming vessel through another series of impossible maneuvers. The integration, Nexus admitted reluctantly. It is progressing more rapidly than expected. The changes to your cellular structure, your neural pathways, they are becoming permanent. Meaning? Meaning that soon, we will not be able to separate without causing catastrophic damage to both of us. The choice to remain bonded, it must be made soon, while we can still undo. Incoming! Thomas shouted as multiple weapons locked onto their position. The military helicopters had arrived. Maya felt power building within her, Nexus's ancient knowledge combining with her human intuition in ways that surprised them both. The crystalline structures throughout the Nautilus pulsed with energy. They're not going to let us reach the shore, she said, watching the helicopters move to surround them. Not with what we've become. No, Nexus agreed. But perhaps it is time to show them exactly what we've become. Maya felt their consciousness synchronize even more deeply, the boundary between human and alien thought becoming almost indistinguishable. The Nautilus's transformed hull began to glow with the same ethereal light that shimmered beneath her skin. As military forces converged from above and harvesters approached from below, Maya made her choice. She embraced the bond completely, accepting the permanent changes it would bring. The resulting surge of power transformed everything, herself, the vessel, and possibly the future of human evolution itself. Well, she said to Thomas, her voice resonating with both human determination and crystalline energy, I hope you're ready to see what a willing partnership between species really looks like. The ocean around them began to glow as Maya and Nexus prepared to show both humanity and the harvesters exactly what they were capable of together. The sky erupted in brilliant blue light as the transformed Nautilus rose from the ocean's surface. Maya felt the power flowing through her, Nexus's crystalline energy merging with the vessel's systems in ways that defied physics. The military helicopters circled warily, their pilots clearly unsure how to respond to what they were seeing. This is the United States Navy, a voice crackled over their radio. Power down your systems and prepare to be boarded. Maya almost laughed at their hesitation. Through her bond with Nexus, she could sense their confusion, their fear of the unknown. But there was something else too, a deeper threat approaching from below. The harvesters are adapting, Nexus warned, their shared consciousness detecting changes in the alien vessels pursuing them. They're attempting to match our energy signature. Can they do that? Maya asked, watching as crystalline structures continued to spread across the Nautilus's hull, forming patterns that reminded her of coral reefs made of light. Not truly, Nexus replied, but there was concern in their mental voice. They can mimic the surface features, but the deeper bond, what we share, that cannot be replicated. However, their attempts to do so could be devastating to this planet's biosphere. Through their connection, Maya saw flashes of other worlds where the harvesters had attempted to force similar bonds, leaving behind devastated ecosystems and failed experiments. The images filled her with a protective fury that surprised them both. Your emotional responses continue to enhance our capabilities in unexpected ways, Nexus observed, fascination coloring their shared thoughts. The predecessors never anticipated this level of synthesis. Before Maya could respond, the ocean beneath them erupted. 3 harvester vessels burst from the waves, their surfaces now covered in crude crystalline growths that pulsed with sickly green light. The sight filled Nexus with something close to revulsion. Abominations, the crystalline being projected. They understand nothing of true symbiosis, of the beauty of willing partnership. "Ma'am," Thomas spoke up from his station, his voice steady despite the impossible situation, "those things are putting out massive radiation signatures. Whatever they're trying to do, it's affecting everything in the water around them." Maya could feel it through her enhanced senses. The harvesters' crude attempts at replication were sending out waves of corrupted energy, disrupting the natural patterns of life in the ocean below. Schools of fish were scattering in panic, and deeper down, whales were crying out in distress. "We need to stop them," she said, her determination resonating through her bond with Nexus. "Not just for us, but for every living thing in these waters." "Yes," Nexus agreed, their shared consciousness expanding to encompass the full scope of the threat. "But to do so, we must complete our integration. The physical changes will be irreversible." "You mean I'll stay like this? Part human, part..." Maya gestured to her shimmering skin, the crystalline patterns that now seemed as much a part of her as her own cells. "More than that," Nexus explained, sending images of what they could become together. "We will be something entirely new. Neither human nor crystalline, but a true hybrid. The first of our kind." The harvester vessels were moving to surround them, their corrupted crystalline surfaces sending out pulses of destructive energy. Above, the military helicopters were backing away, their sensors presumably warning them of the rising radiation levels. Maya felt the choice crystallizing in her mind, as clear as the structures flowing through her transformed body. "Will it hurt?" she asked, though they both knew her decision was already made. "Yes," Nexus answered honestly. "But we will face the pain together." Maya took a deep breath, looking at Thomas. "You might want to hold on to something. This is going to get interesting." As the words left her mouth, she opened herself completely to the bond. The sensation was like diving into an ocean of liquid light. Every cell in her body began to change, accepting Nexus's crystalline nature while maintaining her human consciousness. The pain was intense but beautiful, like being reborn. The Nautilus transformed with them, its hull flowing like quicksilver as it integrated fully with their combined being. Maya felt her awareness expand exponentially, connecting with systems and energies she had never dreamed existed. "We are becoming," Nexus's thoughts merged with hers until it was impossible to tell where one ended and the other began. "We are evolving." The harvesters attacked then, sensing the surge of power from their transformation. Their corrupted crystal weapons lashed out with beams of sickly green energy. But Maya and Nexus were ready. Their hybrid form responded with impossible grace, the Nautilus moving like a living thing through air and water. Where the harvester's energy touched them, their perfectly merged crystalline structure simply absorbed and redirected it. "They don't understand," Maya said, her voice carrying harmonics that made the air shimmer. "True power doesn't come from forcing things to change. It comes from learning to change together." They finished the thought as one being. The military helicopters were retreating now, their pilots finally realizing they were witnessing something far beyond their capacity to control. But the harvesters pressed their attack with increasing desperation, their crude attempts at replication causing visible damage to the environment around them. Maya and Nexus reached out with their combined senses, feeling the pain of the ocean's creatures, the disruption to the delicate balance of life. Their shared consciousness made a decision: they couldn't allow this to continue. "Thomas," Maya called out, her voice carrying echoes of crystalline resonance, "remember what you see here. The world needs to understand that there are better ways than force. Better ways than fear." As the harvesters converged for another attack, Maya and Nexus prepared to show both humanity and their enemies exactly what true symbiosis could achieve. The ocean began to glow with pure blue light as they summoned power that neither species could have wielded alone. The real battle was about to begin, and its outcome would determine not just their fate, but potentially the future of human evolution itself. The ocean glowed like liquid sapphire as Maya and Nexus's combined consciousness expanded outward. Their transformed vessel hovered between sea and sky, crystalline structures flowing across its surface in mesmerizing patterns. The harvesters' corrupted energy signatures created a sickly counterpoint to their pure blue radiance. "We can feel everything," they thought as one being. Through their enhanced awareness, they sensed the intricate web of life in the waters below, from the smallest plankton to the largest whales, all connected in a delicate balance that the harvesters' crude attempts at replication were threatening to destroy. "The radiation levels are still climbing," Thomas reported, monitoring their instruments with growing concern. "Whatever those things are trying to do, they're poisoning everything around them." Maya felt Nexus's ancient knowledge flowing through their shared consciousness, revealing the full scope of the threat. The harvesters' desperate attempts to force synthetic bonds were creating cascade failures in the local ecosystem. If left unchecked, the damage could spread across entire ocean currents. "We must contain them," their unified mind decided. "But first, we need to understand the full extent of our capabilities." They reached out with their combined senses, exploring the boundaries of their transformation. Maya's human intuition merged with Nexus's crystalline precision, creating something entirely new. The vessel around them was no longer just a vehicle, it had become an extension of their hybrid form, responding to their thoughts with perfect synchronization. The harvesters attacked again, their corrupted crystal weapons firing bursts of chaotic energy. But now, Maya and Nexus could see the fundamental flaws in their enemy's approach. Where the harvesters tried to force incompatible elements together, their own merger had been a natural evolution, each aspect complementing the other. "It's like watching someone try to play a symphony by smashing the instruments together," Maya observed, their shared consciousness translating complex energy patterns into terms her human mind could understand. "Yes," Nexus agreed, their thoughts harmonizing. "They seek to take what can only be freely given. Watch how their forced bonds create discord." As if to demonstrate, one of the harvester vessels began to destabilize, its crude crystalline growths flickering with unstable energy. The sight filled their unified being with both sadness and determination. "They're going to tear themselves apart," Maya realized. "And take half the ocean with them." "Unless we show them another way," Nexus suggested, an idea forming in their shared mind. They reached out with their combined power, their perfectly merged consciousness extending beyond their physical form. The crystalline structures throughout their vessel began to resonate at frequencies that made the very molecules of the air and water dance. The harvesters reacted with confusion, their corrupted sensors detecting something they couldn't understand. Through their bond, Maya and Nexus began to broadcast the pure harmonic patterns of their successful merger, not to help the harvesters replicate it, but to show them the fundamental truth they had missed. True evolution cannot be forced, their unified thoughts rippled through the quantum field. It must grow from understanding, from trust, from love, Maya finished, the human emotion adding depths to their shared consciousness that Nexus had never experienced before. The crystalline being's ancient knowledge combined with her capacity for empathy, creating insights that neither could have achieved alone. The harvesters' attack faltered as their crude systems tried to process this new information. In that moment of hesitation, Maya and Nexus acted. Their transformed vessel split into countless smaller crystalline forms, each one perfectly attuned to their unified will. The structures flowed like schools of glowing fish through air and water, surrounding the harvester vessels in a dance of light and energy. "What are we doing?" Maya asked, though their shared consciousness already knew the answer. "Teaching," Nexus replied. "And healing." Their crystalline extensions began to resonate with the natural frequencies of the ocean itself, creating harmonies that counteracted the harvester's destructive emissions. Where there had been chaos, they brought balance. Where there had been forced bonds, they showed the beauty of willing partnership. The smallest sea creatures responded first, their simple cellular structures naturally aligning with the healing harmonies. Then larger organisms began to recover, the web of life strengthening as natural patterns were restored. But the harvesters weren't finished. Their damaged vessels began to combine, forcing their corrupted crystalline growths to merge into something massive and utterly unstable. The resulting entity rose from the waves like a mountain of sickly green crystal, its very existence an offense against the natural order. "They still do not understand," Nexus observed sadly. "Then we'll have to show them one last time," Maya replied, their shared determination crystallizing into purpose. Their unified consciousness reached its full potential, transforming their vessel and themselves into a being of pure crystalline energy. In this state, they could see the quantum threads that connected all living things, the delicate patterns that the harvester's crude methods were tearing apart. Thomas watched in awe as his friends became something beyond human comprehension, a hybrid entity that represented not just the merger of two beings, but the next step in conscious evolution. The water around them began to glow with impossible colors as they prepared to face the harvester's final, desperate gambit. The future of two species, and possibly the entire Earth's biosphere, would depend on what happened next. But Maya and Nexus faced the challenge without fear, their perfect trust in each other creating strengths that neither had imagined possible. They were no longer simply human and crystal, scientist and sentinel. They had become living proof that evolution's greatest leaps come not from force, but from the willing union of different beings learning to grow together. As they faced the towering monstrosity of the harvester's combined form, Maya and Nexus prepared to demonstrate exactly what that truth meant. The massive crystalline aberration that the harvesters had become towered above the waves, its unstable structure pulsing with sickly green light. Maya and Nexus faced it in their unified form, their perfect merger creating patterns of pure blue radiance that rippled through both air and water. Their combined form is breaking down, they observed through their shared consciousness. The forced bonds are collapsing. Through their enhanced perception, they could see the quantum instabilities spreading from the harvester's crude fusion. Each attempt to force their incompatible components together only accelerated the degradation. The resulting energy discharge was already affecting weather patterns, creating unnatural storm formations above them. If that thing collapses completely, Thomas warned from within their protected vessel, the resulting quantum cascade could sterilize half the Pacific. Maya and Nexus processed this information through both human intuition and crystalline logic. They could feel the ocean's pain as the harvester's corrupted energy continued to poison the natural order. But they also sensed something else, a desperate yearning within their enemy's twisted form. They seek what we have, Nexus realized, their shared understanding growing deeper. But they know only how to take, not how to join. Then maybe it's time to show them the difference, Maya suggested, their unified consciousness expanding to encompass new possibilities. They began to move, their crystalline form flowing like liquid starlight. The patterns they created weren't just beautiful, they were a language written in pure energy, telling the story of their own journey from separate beings to perfect union. The harvester's massive form shuddered, its corrupted sensors trying to comprehend what they were witnessing. Through their destructive attempts at replication, they had gained just enough awareness to recognize the fundamental truth before them. Watch, Maya and Nexus projected, their thoughts carrying harmonics that resonated with the very fabric of reality. See how we dance together. Their crystalline extensions spiraled around the harvester's unstable mass, not attacking but demonstrating. Where Maya's human consciousness flowed, Nexus's ancient knowledge followed in perfect complement. Their movements created interference patterns that began to dampen the chaotic energies their enemies were producing. "The radiation levels are dropping," Thomas reported in amazement. "Whatever you're doing, it's actually stabilizing them." But the harvesters weren't ready to accept the lesson. Their combined form lashed out with tendrils of corrupted crystal, trying to forcibly absorb Maya and Nexus's perfected union. The attack was powerful enough to distort space itself, creating ripples in the quantum field. Instead of dodging, Maya and Nexus opened themselves to the assault. Not to accept it, but to demonstrate the futility of force against true partnership. "Feel the difference," they projected as the corrupted energy washed over their unified form. "Understand why you fail." Where the harvester's power touched them, their perfect merger simply redirected it, transforming chaos into harmony. The process was beautiful but demanded everything they had. Maya's human capacity for adaptation merged with Nexus's crystalline resilience, creating defenses that evolved as fast as the attacks could change. "They're starting to destabilize," Maya observed through their shared awareness. "We need to contain them before." The harvester's combined form began to fracture, releasing bursts of corrupted energy that threatened to tear apart the quantum field itself. In their desperate final attempt to force evolution, they were about to destroy everything they had sought to claim. Now, Maya and Nexus thought as one, "We show them our true purpose." Their unified form expanded exponentially, their consciousness touching every quantum string that the harvester's chaos had disturbed. Where force had created discord, they brought voluntary harmony. Where crude bonds had twisted nature, they offered paths for organic growth. The ocean itself began to respond, billions of years of evolved intelligence recognizing something fundamental in their perfect merger. From the smallest microorganisms to the largest creatures, life itself seemed to resonate with their emergent pattern. "My God," Thomas whispered, watching as their blue radiance spread across the waves. "You're not just fixing the damage. You're showing them how to heal." He was right. Through their combined understanding, Maya's scientific knowledge and Nexus's ancient wisdom, they had discovered something the predecessors never imagined. Evolution didn't just mean becoming stronger or more complex. Sometimes it meant learning how to grow together. The harvester's massive form began to change, not through force but through understanding. Their corrupted crystals started to align with natural patterns, guided by Maya and Nexus's example. The sickly green light faded, replaced by softer hues that no longer fought against nature's flow. "They begin to understand," Nexus observed as their enemies' forced bonds gradually dissolved. "Not just them," Maya replied through their shared consciousness. "Look." The military vessels that had been hanging back now approached cautiously. Through their enhanced senses, Maya and Nexus could feel the shift in the human's response, from fear of the unknown to cautious wonder. Their unified form began to condense, not diminishing but becoming more refined. They had shown both humanity and the harvesters a new path, one that led not to conquest or forced evolution, but to willing partnership and natural growth. The harvesters' component vessels separated, their crude crystalline structures now transformed into something that could exist in harmony with Earth's biosphere. They weren't perfect copies of Maya and Nexus's merger, but they had learned to stop forcing what could only be freely given. As the sun rose over the calming ocean, Maya and Nexus held their unified form, their consciousness expanded to feel every ripple of change they had initiated. They were no longer simply a human and a crystal being sharing space. They had become living proof that evolution's greatest leaps come from trust, from understanding, and from the willingness to grow together into something entirely new. "So," Thomas asked as their vessel settled gently onto the waves, "what happens now?" Maya and Nexus shared a thought that was both smile and shimmer. They had discovered something that would change both their species forever, not through force or dominance, but through the simple, profound power of choosing to evolve together. Now, they answered as one, their unified form glowing with possibilities, "We show them all how to dance."